up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
Live from the apocalypse, my cat needs a psychologist. This is State of the Game. I am Dan O. Essentially, in the world of this hip hop coverage, I'm not a damn journalist. In the world of this hip hop coverage, I
Wait,
am
wait,
Michael.
he just texted me.
He's coming or
He
no?
says, "Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be a part of it. The state of the game. I thought you were replacing me." Lol.
No. Tell him to jump on. We're here.
He's like, "I'm out with my parents right now."
Okay. Either way.
They can
So,
come on too. Yeah.
yeah, whatever. Bring
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody. The Beacon Pop in. So, yeah, I am essentially in this world of hip hop coverage. I am the Michael Keaton, a little too twitchy, a little too odd to be your Tom Hanks. So, but I'm here, and so I'm happy to be here. And my co-host, who is slicker than my driveway, K Diggy, he is busy, but he will be here. He's gonna log in a little later on, which maybe Squadda B will as well. Squadda B, living legend, might be here, but we'll see. Introductions, otherwise, we're easy to do, right? Uh, Top five dead or alive. Televangel, one of the best in the world. Uh, no, yeah, no walkbacks on that. And joining us, the Duke of Drums, the natural stylistic nemesis of Nicholas Craven, Mighty Healthy.
Yes, the actual co-host of this, because I think I only missed 1 year. I only
Yes,
missed 1 year, so I'm the true co-host of
and
this
yes,
series.
of this series. Because yes, there was another where Kay missed it as well. So it's like, yeah, Mighty Healthy. I am overjoyed that you're back, uh,
Yes,
and your energy is here. So we're talking greasy about 2024 in production. Uh, I I'm glad I started doing this. But rather than just be like, what did we see in lyricism? Lyricism gets analyzed to the moon, dog. Like, are there too many ad libs? Is it where the chorus is all the time? But in terms of production, to sit down with people who know production and talk about what's good, what we want to change, it's been very productive for us. So, thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Televangels, man.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate the steady contact and yeah, just killer work over the course of the year. Um, yeah. So we will, and if Squadda jumps in, I will definitely uh, give Squadda some love about third shift
No problem.
with Big Joss. The
Yeah.
so like third shift is my getting shit done album. You know,
Well, that makes sense.
I've gotten so much shit done to third shift.
It's yeah, it's a work. It's like a working man's rap album, you know?
Yeah, it's kinetic. It's just like it's time. It's go time. You know,
Yeah.
and I love that shit, man. But let's go positive. Since Mighty Healthy's here, the pet peeves are coming. We're gonna start positive. What? And I can lead, I guess, if we need to. But the question is, was there an album that came out where the sound of it genuinely surprised you? And you were like, wow, this is a lot more than I anticipated.
Surprised. I would say, and I think you could probably relate to this, like as the years go by as a producer, it's it gets more difficult to be surprised.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain names where you see things, you're like, okay, I know what this is gonna sound like. Um, but I would say production wise, what impressed me the most is probably Blue Chips. I mean, not Blue Lips, Schoolboy Q.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that was gonna be my big. Well, I was because my son has recently he's done Kendrick crazy, so he's started to hear a little bit of Q. And he's like, "Have you heard Blue Lipstick?" I'm like, "Yeah, son, that was the first great album of the year.
Yeah.
Like that was the one that dropped where we were like, oh shit, now it's serious." Um, because it Crash Talk is, I think, his worst album. Like full, I think it's terrible. I think, and I've told everybody, and I don't know if it's rational. I would apologize to him if it's here, but I blame Baby Keem. I blame Baby Keem completely for Crash Talk. Um, that was a period of time where Baby Keem was the hottest shit in the world, and he was doing it with these kind of squeaks and crazy sounds, and everybody wanted a little bit of that. And I think Crash Talk has too much of that.
Yeah, it was that album was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think what he mentioned was that that's kind of where he was at mentally at that time too. Yeah, I just didn't understand what that album was trying to do. But he more than made up for it this time around.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is back in the driver's seat. So that was we have the same pick there. Televangel, do you have any album that really stuck out to you where you were like, "Oh, I didn't anticipate this sounding like this," or
I mean, I think you guys listen to way more music than I did this year, but I do conveniently I do think uh third shift because
Mm,
I've known Squadda for a long time. I've known, I like know his old music. He kind of like stepped back from like just like producing for other people.
yep.
Um, but it was I actually read the Pitchfork review, which is I was really stoked that he got that because I feel like people have been sleeping on him the last like I don't know, like there was the blog era, but then post that there was sort of that in between era where people didn't know where to categorize things or people didn't, yeah.
Mm,
Anyways, yeah, the Pitchfork review said something like that was really cool. It was like something like it was obviously a compliment. It was like basically saying like his beats sound like he doesn't really pay attention to what the popular sound like what's going on. Like he doesn't really like he's in his own world and he kind of just and it does have a little bit of the like the up tempo Detroit
yeah.
sound for sure, but it's definitely still like his own like vocal choppy like it's got some of his old like style in it too. Um
Yeah.
and I just well yeah, I didn't really know what to expect and I was like I was yeah, it was cool.
That point from the Pitchfork review is a really good point. And I was
Yeah.
thinking about it. I was thinking about just in the sense of we have so many really unique, really interesting producers who just do their thing.
Yeah.
And all of it is because they ignored everybody.
Yeah.
They ignored everybody around them. Like, and that's the only, and so I was like, how important is that as a producer to not always try and synthesize what is cool and what isn't new, but
Yeah.
to be on your own journey through that to find
Yeah.
what is new for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean I think like child actor is kind of on that where it's like
Oh, that's a good call.
he definitely found his sound, like his hip hop sound.
Yep.
Hilarious if you go back, a little bit longer and if you didn't know what he had done previously, but because you just don't like know the scope of what his music's been. But yeah, like he found his stride and he definitely has like the name brand child actor sound, I feel like now. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
He got shouted out by Alchemist in an interview.
yeah, I saw that.
That was wild. And it was
Yeah,
a strong shout out. That
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I love the Alchemist for that.
yeah,
Uh,
that's cool.
yeah, that's cool. What do you? How would you categorize that, Mighty Healthy? What are the dangers of staying hip as a producer?
It's rough, especially when it's like I would say for me personally, I think it's important to keep track of what's going on, where people's going, but like you have to also understand like what makes you special and why like why someone should get a beat from you, right? Like especially when, early on, but before recording, we're talking about just like the more homogenization of a lot of people.
Right.
And it's like not, but it also depends on what your goals are as a producer. Like, are you someone that wants to fit in and like just, wants to play the game, wants to do those things, or do you get a kick out of kind of being yourself and figuring it out? Like I would say it's definitely a battle, but it's definitely more fulfilling to kind of know what's going on, but you're like, I'm still trying to evolve my own thing, but I still understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And I would say like that's definitely been a big component to my style. Like I understand what's going on, but I still have an understanding on how my shit how my shit hits, how my shit, does its thing, and yeah, it's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, especially with with Ka, because and I think I said this on the Ka episode before he passed. I said I think Ka was the loneliest man in music. Like most of his albums were entirely produced by him, and the only guest was Rock Marciano, and that was it. And so it was a very like fortress of solitude situation. Um, and but his dedication to that, The Thief Next to Jesus, is one of his best. The last one before he left was just one of his best, and that's his legacy. Is he did it on his own, himself, and he never gave a fuck about anything but the mission of being better at this.
Right.
That really makes sense if you think about like his, for one, his age and the fact that he has like this whole other life. Like,
Right.
he wasn't, he didn't like, he didn't go to music. It's like, oh, I'm gonna like rejoin the industry and see if I can like make it big again or what. He's like, he's a fireman. He's just like, I'm just gonna like work on my art. I feel like that's a cool, so like such a cool story of like his like 90s like brush with success and then coming back like when he's like fully grown and like can articulate like his hyper specific style. Like, yeah, I don't know. Dude's an
Yeah,
amazing.
and the thing is it an easier path? No,
No.
but it's definitely the most rewarding.
Yeah.
And he's someone that is truly, you know, embodied like just the craftsmanship of that. Like, I'm going to do my thing. Like, okay, all that other stuff is cool, but like I'm doing this like purely like this is my thing, and I'm gonna grow this by myself. And like that it can't get any purer than that.
It's enviable for sure. Like, don't we kind of wish we could all do that, right? Like,
Yeah.
Can you imagine how different his career would have been if like, he's on the XXL freshman cover next to Kid Ink?
Oh God.
yeah.
Like, oh
I,
my
I
God.
I always imagine stuff like that. Just like, what if their career went this way, or just like, oh my God. You know what's funny? I feel like somebody like him, he probably would have ended up in the same place.
I
Like,
feel like you can also turn down XXL covers. You're like, nah, I'm
oh yeah,
good.
yeah, you could turn it down,
Yeah.
but I feel like hypothetically, if he was in like a kid in class and he did like the whole major label route, he would have had just like the one terrible album and just leave, and we don't hear from him for like 5 years, and then he just starts cranking the stuff out by himself again.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain people where you think of, you're just like, yeah, this is gonna end the same way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's all those people that were on Bad Boy were like an album and then just were like, ejected. Uh, like yeah, it's weird. But my favorite what if that I kicked Mighty Healthy was
Uh,
was and it was so successful. that Alaska's reaction to it, Alaska Adams reacted like I was thinking it was a horror movie. Um, I was like, okay, Dre hears Eminem's tape, right? Signs it, but there's a whole world of Scribble Jam people. What if he heard Sage Francis? What if he heard Dose One?
I was just gonna say those one.
What if he
Those,
built the label around, some of those other dudes and it was just a bunch of Scribble Jam cadets on that, on that big yacht with Razkaz in that video, you know what I mean?
there's definitely other Scribble Jam people you probably could have had the Eminem type success with.
Yeah.
Nothing's coming to mind though, actually.
Yeah.
Just
But
just Cage
I,
and
I
Razkaz on a big boat with Dr. Dre beat behind it. Like,
I mean, I was gonna say Cage. I don't know if he
yeah.
was that scribble head kind of rapper, but was he?
I,
Yeah.
I also think the same time period, but like the other way, like what if Eminem went to Terror Squad like how he really wanted to?
Oh
Just
shit, Terror Squad Eminem.
Terror
Oh
Squad, just
man.
like M and just Mad Pun Records, like
Oh wow.
that
Wow.
would like
That
that's hard to imagine.
that would have made probably like better or like music that I would be more appreciative as far as Eminem music. Like,
Yeah, Loud Records Eminem style. Like it would have been that
yeah.
kind of
Oh,
thing. Yeah, that would have been hectic. That would have been hectic. He's like just Eminem featuring Cuban Links. Okay.
like Armageddon and shit.
Yeah. Armageddon squeezes in there. Yep. He's getting in fights at the Rucker. It's just like, wow, this is wild. What a different journey. But yeah, life is full of that stuff. But I guess the other one I would put in the mix for albums that I was like genuinely, I don't know if I could say surprised because the singles had me sold, right? Q-Tip and LL Cool J.
Oh
Force.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I heard Passion, like I know enough about LL Cool J to know when he's focused,
Yeah.
you know?
The
Like
production was very like progressive in that there was a lot of changes throughout, which you typically wouldn't expect from like someone like I mean, you just wouldn't expect it from like a banner artist like LL Cool J, but I guess he's in a place where he can just probably feels like he can experiment more.
yeah,
And I feel like in from Q-Tip's side, it just felt like a continuation from the final Tribe album. Like it like a lot of those joints felt like like Pfeiffer Trophy would have came on at any time.
some
Yeah.
certainly Run It Back, Run It Back is a crazy Tribe song. But like there's some of those songs to Televangel's point, they're like Vibrant Thing era Q-Tip.
Yeah.
That's it's that lane where you're like, wow, this is wild. But I think Force is important because it lays out an alternate path if you're an older successful MC and you want to be important again. Like that's how you do it, you know?
Yeah.
Too many people that I get very distrustful of rappers that have become successful actors in terms of their artistic output, right? Because the rap becomes kind of a side chick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I had a roommate who worked two jobs at once. He was this very successful waiter, a bartender, and he was working at like, an Italian fast food kind of place for minimum, right? And eventually he was like, I can't keep going to this job at the minimum, bro. I'm making more in a one day than I am the whole week with that shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the way it is with these actors, right? Like they're making more on their acting than they're ever gonna make on this music shit.
Oh yeah.
So it's hard to put your whole heart in it. Um, but LL Cool J's mentally ill, so he can't.
I mean, you could tell that that was a labor of love, that project for
Oh
sure.
yeah, oh yeah, he was
Yeah,
focused.
100%. It's because it's like, again, like I checked like, we're nerdy, so we're gonna check, we're gonna see like what label this came out on and stuff like that. Like, no, this was 100% on his own. And so it's cool to see, he didn't have to make this album.
Nope.
Yeah.
So being able to be like, you know what, I want to lock in with Q-Tip and I'm just gonna let him cook and just see what happens. Um, and it's cool. Like, and you could tell they were genuinely like it was a genuine thing. It wasn't just a bunch of email beats. Like you hear Q-Tip on hooks, you hear him throughout, and this was yeah, it was. I was actually surprised a little bit by that album. Is it perfect? No,
No,
but
no.
I mean, like, what expectations did we have for this?
Yeah.
I My argument for Force is that it has like an 8 song run
Yeah,
from 1 to 8 that's muscular, right? That it's
yeah,
like, you know, um, it's hard to out knock that. That knocks hard.
yeah,
After the 8, yeah, you get some interesting stuff, some other odd stuff, but but I think it is definitely one of my favorites of the year. But partially just because of that insane gusto and confidence, and it's been successful. It's
yeah.
charted. It's got the videos, the interviews. Like he's gotten the focus for his rap music. So the problem with some of the graduate rappers who've already got their degree previously, right, is they're just going to keep cranking it out. If they want to keep doing it, you know, like Cannabis knows all the words. He's going to keep doing it. Um, the Jedi mind tricks, they're going to keep doing what they do, right? But like, they're not going to give you a moment. They're not going to give you like, oh shit, this is actually you're aiming for the best you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Why did you feel that a concern is like we might get a sequel of this like 6 months from now?
I mean, I actually wrote a letter to LL like and sent it. Like I wrote a physical letter and mailed it. And I posted it. So like it's on freemusicempire.com. But it was the whole crux of it was you are remembered the wrong way. Like you are remembered for your stability when you are one of the most insane people who ever was in music. It's like Jay-Z is stable. He makes like incremental jumps, 20% difference. You're nuts. You jump like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, and oftentimes I have no idea what the fuck you're doing. But, you know, you've always proven me wrong. You know what I mean? Whenever I rooted against you, I failed. Uh, and that's like eventually I came to a part where I was like, I'm just gonna sit and learn from the teacher at this point. Like this dude, you know, he does it. So um his mistakes are fabulous, right? Like it's like a Little Wayne situation. Little Wayne has fabulous mistakes.
Oh yeah, with Wayne, it's like the highs are really high, but the
Yeah.
lows are like holy shit.
Everybody should listen to Rebirth, right? Like everybody should be forced, if you like hip hop, to listen to Rebirth. Rebirth is you should have to get it notarized that you listen to Rebirth. But because it's you don't make that album unless you love what you're doing. That album is
Yeah,
silly. It's a silly album that is
yeah.
heartfelt. He's excited to do it. Uh,
Rebirth?
and
Yeah.
if you're gonna fail, that's the way to fail. You know,
Oh
J-
yeah.
jump the
That
fuck
is
off the cliff. Do it. Yeah,
well, yeah, I did skip that one.
it's great. It's great. It's
And it's like, oh, It's like, oh, I just did the Carter 3. Like I'm like hot as fish grease. Like I'm gonna do this now. Let me go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so what happens is popular rappers are like, I'm going to explore my rock direction, but they have terrible taste in rock and roll.
Or just done.
Every rapper's favorite band is like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Coldplay, and like, yeah, like
So
that's
like
not a good one.
there's just nothing interesting going on
Yeah.
about rock. It's just the big, loud, rock
Got
guitar.
guitars though, all right?
Yeah, big,
Got
big, loud
guitars.
guitar loops. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're just that's why I really enjoyed the Cypress Hill album Skull and Bones because that happened at the height of the kind of new metal Limp Bizkit thing,
Yeah.
and they were like, "We can actually do this, and it's not that hard. We
Right.
can just do this with loud guitar loops, and it'll sound just like the music y'all listen to. Actually, better. So it's kind of great. Um, but yeah. Anyway, so that was, but yeah, that's an important one. Um, in terms of where the underground left you this year, what do you think the trends in production were? What stood out to you?
Um, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of it reminds me how like this era actually doesn't have a very specific clothing fashion. It's like everything is kind of permitted.
Yeah,
I don't really think there's one thing right now. Um, which is cool. I mean, that's cool. Like, you hear rappers that used to only rap on trap beats getting on more boom bap beats, vice versa, and then styles mix and all between. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to project my own taste on what I think the future might be, but uh I do think if you want to stand out, you're gonna have to sort of like hybridize some of the more like generic Griselda beats into something else or like,
right.
I don't know. I think it is coming to a point where it's like people are looking for like a more like a sound that stands out more, like which I think is, one of the reasons why I like child actors, like because it's like, oh yeah, like when you hear his beats, like you can tell who it is.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's just my projection. I don't know. Like
No, I mean
it's
to build on that point, I think what I was is the way to be successful if you want to be an underground producer is you have to establish your flavor super hard,
yeah,
and then once you do, people will come to you,
yeah,
Right.
right? So all the people that are successful right now, child actors, you said, August Fanon, Kenny Siegel, these are all people really highly identifiable
yeah,
and unique, right? Like those are the people to hunt down.
yeah,
If you want to make an interesting album and you are, you know, you're Nicholas F, right? Nicholas F. Everybody knows you're great. Everybody knows you're great at what you do. But you want to be in different circles. You want to be challenged by different production. Do an album with the lasso. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
fuck it. You get create a new flavor.
yeah,
To add to that point, I would say one album that kind of encapsulates this idea of just like, yo, like I'm just gonna go to like the person I'm like that has my ear. Like, is it just like does nobody talk about the fact that Juicy J did an album with J.R. Swift? That's just it's so weird. And
That was
I'm just
fucking mind blowing. That was fucking
yeah, and it's
mind
just
blowing.
like that. Like I thought like I'm like that was the thing I had to look at a couple times. I'm like, yo, did he tag the wrong person or just like Out with what? What the fuck is happening? And I think I where as far as what to look for next, like I want to see more of that. I want to see Kendrick get with evidence. Like I want to see like these you, as time goes on, I feel like there will be less homogenization
Yeah,
because I feel like everyone was at home during COVID listening to Griselda and copying that formula and
right.
just keep doing that. And now that's not working anymore. And people are probably like, oh yeah, I could like sound like myself again. And I feel like there'll be more of that. I feel like there'll just be more of these kind of like experiments and just see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I
Can,
mean,
just kind of an aside, but kind of uh, tell me if you disagree. Do tr when trap rappers get on more like for lack of a better term, boom bap, that just
Yeah.
more sample based production. Why is that always way tighter than when boom bap rappers try to get on trap beats?
yeah,
I feel like because it's more rare
Yeah,
and also and usually when they do that like the equivalent trap beat they hop on is just not as good as their normal element, you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah. It's like
And
a sort
I,
of a
yeah.
generic version.
Yeah, and I would say at least for this album, but the Juicy J shit, like they still found tempos like how the BPMs and shit like they still found the trap BPMs. They were just boom bap drums instead,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the
yeah.
sonically it still made sense. But you just look and you're just like, wait, wow, okay.
I need to listen to
Well,
that.
and that's why, like, to me, on my perspective, it of what you just said is so Little Baby will release an 18 song album where all the beats sound the same,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
He has to make that shit work. If you like Little Baby, it ain't for the production,
Yeah.
right? It's for what he's doing. So if you can get someone who's used to carrying the beats on beats that are actually more evocative, all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, this is great, right?
Right.
So I think there's a little bit of that where like Sky Zoo's used to these luxurious, cool, badass jazz beats. Uh, but BX the plug doesn't get that shit, you know?
yeah.
Is that Mexican OT over one of those beats would be interesting, right? So it just works out like that. But I think, yeah,
That
that's
was Rick Ross sort of. I wonder if he had a part in the like that type of rapper wanting to get on a more of a traditional rap beat because he was doing that kind of a while ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. He came into that pretty early. Like
Yeah,
just I would say Ross probably has he's definitely in the like the top three best ears for beats ever.
yeah,
I feel like it's also just like his versatility as a rapper. Like he'll do the trap shit and then you see him on like Raekwon albums. It's like
yeah,
someone that he could just like he's comfortable everywhere.
yeah,
you remember there was that Sky Zoo Pete. No, it wasn't Sky Zoo. It was Smoke Dizza and Pete Rock when they
Yeah.
did the album, and Ross was on it, like,
Yeah.
and so I remember I was talking to somebody much younger than me, who I was talking about the mixtape era and Justice League and how important Justice League were, and the person was like, "Hey, like when I think of Justice League, I just think of like pop rap, that's pop rap." I'm like, "No, dog, they were in the fucking mixtape scene. They were in that deep. They're pop rap because Ross plucked that out and said, 'Come with me.'"
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Come on deep rap real quick.
yep, and they made the back. Ross was like kind of a vicious talent scout, like in terms of with dudes, obviously not with women. Um, But he famously had that weird interview where he was talking about he could never manage or have a woman on his label because he'd want to have sex with her all the time or something.
Yeah, he's sus for sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when guys say things to impress each other, but it ends up being utter fucking nonsense. Or just,
At least, it's like, well, thank God you never signed a female rapper. Like, okay.
right. Yeah.
thanks, Rick. Are you done talking? Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
He's like, I don't sign women rap because then I would turn into Diddy. I was like, well, at least you know you would turn into Diddy, I guess.
yeah,
Or
thanks. We're glad we have that in the Entertainment Tonight interview. Um, but no, that's just the way it is, and I think, but yeah, he deserves credit for that of being like, I don't care. I'm gonna. But that's my whole hypothesis on the mixtape era. The mixtape era wasn't the underground. It was it was a reimagining of what popular rap could be. It was an alternate universe.
yeah.
So that's where like shout out to Squadda 808s and Dark Grapes 2 comes out. It's like seeing the Death Star for the first time. Oh shit. Um and Clams Casino and all this stuff and you're like and it was just a different level, you know. Um yeah, and all that stuff, but none of it was trying to be fancy or like
Right.
above your head or anything like that.
No, they got pegged as lo-fi rapper, but they weren't. That was just because they had their equipment lacked. It wasn't an aesthetics choice.
No, no. That's awesome. You got to
Yeah,
love the genre tags.
yeah,
The I was thinking about that today. That some genres are genres because like yeah, like World Beats or something. It's like an ad campaign guy
yeah, yeah.
who was just in a room
World
and he just
beats,
fucking
yeah,
got there.
yeah. Just the rest of the world, that just whatever's not
Right.
US.
We're just
Like,
gonna we put that done. But some genre names are they were just created by a mean critic who hated somebody.
yeah,
You know, they were just
yeah,
like, yeah. There was mumble rap came from some angry 40-year-old white dude who was writing for it's like this is fucking mumble rap.
yeah.
Like that shit.
That was coined by a racist. Come on.
It was like that shit was like somebody who hated Yachty or something. Like that
Yeah,
was just what that was.
yeah,
And
Uh,
the funniest thing is like the main people they point at and go, "You're mumble rap." Those are the clearest sounding people. Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Also, like, I don't know. I think I thought it was kind of cool when rappers started mumbling, like, because it's almost like in a rebellion against how commodified rap got, where it was like, I mean, obviously like the audience was still the same, but like, I feel like it's even more like this isn't for you. This is like, oh, you can't understand us? Well, it's not for you. So
Right, coded language. Yeah,
yeah, it's like I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It doesn't really mean it's good or bad. It's just like I think it's an
Yeah,
interesting.
it became a way for like older cats to yell at the younger cats and not feel like they weren't cool anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's not me, it's this mumbling. Yep. You're like, all right, man. But it was it's all weird. But
it
that's
was
an
like
interesting question of itself. Is like being a producer, knowing there's a whole world of people either writing about your music or just generally discussing your music in a place where you're going to be able to see it, who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like surviving that. How is that? How do you do that? How do you condition yourself?
That question for me.
Yeah, go for it. You first.
Um, Sorry, rephrase that one more time.
Just how do you
I gotta.
mentally and emotionally survive being critiqued by people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about?
Uh, I mean, I feel like these days it's like I really don't need to worry about this that much because I'm just like I know what I'm making just underground
Right.
rap music, right? And I'm like the people that are going to critique it are relatively well versed in what that is. But it is funny. Like I mean, I've been around a while, so uh I, it is funny. Like you know, depending on who's writing about you, it's like you might be called EDM or some shit. Like you might be boxed into something you don't want. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even. I don't say I have a thick skin now, but I'm like I don't really. I'm not gonna take offense
Mm.
about that sort of thing. But um, although I will say like that reminds me, I got really annoyed. There's some like white kid producer, which I'm also white. I don't know if you noticed. Um, he was like he was younger. So like what are your critiquing is younger kids like gonna come off here like you're yelling at a cloud or whatever, but
Mm.
he was like saying that if you sample soul, you're corny. I don't
Oh,
know if you saw that.
The Unk shit video. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, uh yeah, just
I
like
enjoyed that.
and
I love the Unk shit video. It
there's
makes me laugh.
yeah, well he was just like I think his name's like Emerald or something. I don't know. But
Yeah, he's on the radar. It was the on the radar freestyle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do people allow this guy to get away with saying that and to be in this space where he is?
Yeah. I
So,
totally love
not to
it.
go off on a tangent, but
Uh,
yeah,
it's a worthwhile tangent. I love that video so much, Mighty Healthy, because it's everything about being young.
yeah.
When you're young and you're just like this, when my son, he's 11, earlier in the year, he was like, I hate West Coast rap music. It sucks. And then a couple months later, he's listening to nothing but Snoop and Kendrick and all this West Coast shit, and I'm making him West Coast playlists, and he's like, I'm mostly like West Coast hip. You know what I mean? It's like it's like 3 months later, but that's the process of learning. You get really cocky because you know this much,
yeah.
and then you look back and oh my God, I can't believe.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it is. I think the unfortunate thing is that like I was talking about this the other day too, where I was like, I'm glad I didn't have the temptation of releasing the first thing I made, like a lot of kids do now, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I was trash for a while, but I wasn't releasing shit when I was trash. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like that, where it's like because you're always filming yourself, you're always on camera, everyone's making content, your trash opinions get you know,
A spotlight, yeah.
yeah, they get in the spotlight. So
And it's weird because it might not even be bad. Like your trash opinion might be so interesting to people that it runs the gamut for days and days,
yeah,
and you get more follows and you become more of an important. You become the hot Tua lady, and then
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I would yeah, it's definitely it's one of those things where like as a producer or just anyone in this that wants to contribute to this culture, like I feel like to me it's like any other field, right? Like you learn the history of it, you learn how did we get here, you learned like at least some of the important pieces of how we got here. Because otherwise, when you start releasing stuff and contributing, it could be very obvious that you missed some things.
Mm.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, but I would say to add to your earlier point is, I too have thick skin. I see everything about me. Because I'm petty, I like to look. Um, and I've definitely seen things about me that is just like, okay, well that's not like right at all. But the thing is, like, it just comes with the territory of like I'm deliberately making things that are not for most people, and like it's totally fine. And like it's a path that I'm choosing because I find that the most fulfilling.
Yeah, maybe that's a theme that we have in this discussion so far, is that expertise is lonely as fuck.
Yeah.
Like you just you narrow down the amount of people who really know what you do and how you do it, right? To a point where most people dealing with you don't can't really appreciate you, you know?
Right.
Probably just focus on like the handful of people that really like will say something that shows us they really understand what we're doing.
Yep.
Those always stand out way more than like some guy who you know doesn't really know what the fuck they're talking about trying to critique you. But
Yeah, like you'll go so much further and sleep better at night trying to get like the one or two people that really, really rock with you
Right.
versus trying to please everybody and just no one cares.
Yeah.
Because like now you
Yeah. And it should be because there's a lot of focus on that of like, oh no, how do you survive the people saying mean things about you? I will say being somebody who says the mean things all day is a lot worse. It's a lot shittier. I'd much rather have mean things said to me. And by the way, if they're on Twitter, they're going to be confusing mean things anyway. I probably won't understand. Well, um, so that's fine. I'd rather do that than be the person who's just negging my entire ecosystem. No thanks.
yeah, like you see these people all the time. It's a
All the
now
time.
some of the shit be funny. Like I do like some I do like some hatred in doses, but it's a miserable existence.
Yeah. I got concerned when people started being like, that is good trolling. And I'm like, no, 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 no. We're not giving credence to this as an art form. Why don't you stop?
yeah, I don't like when people say you're trolling because you have like an opinion that is like maybe somewhat not in the mainstream or whatever. Like, no, I'm not trolling. Like, I'm sincere. It's just
Well, and that's that what used to be called being a hater, right? They used to be like, you're
right.
a hater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
now it's different.
Turns out that everyone has some views that could be construed as being like a hater. So
Yeah, yeah.
totally meaningless term.
Right, right. Everybody
I mean,
hates at some point.
there
Uh,
are some people that are just contrarians to be contrarians, but those people are the worst. And I think,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
those are tough hangs. Those are
yeah,
tough hangs. They,
yeah.
like I hate anybody starting sentences with actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Actually with a heavy comma and then a slight
actually,
correction. Oh,
just automatic. I'm disregarding everything you're about to tell me after this, actually.
this motherfucker hit me with an actually. Um,
but a much better way to hit that same point is you say yes and then
yeah,
you actually totally disagree with the with their point, but you say yes, but then
Exactly.
you pretend that you're agreeing with them, but you're actually not agreeing with them at all.
yeah. You are saying actually because you're stunning on them. Like that's what you're
Yeah,
trying to do. You're
yeah.
stunting on them, and they know it. K Diggy, how are you doing? You stunting on people?
Hey, how's it going?
What's going
Hey,
on?
Hey,
Going on. So yeah, we're here. We're talking about production. We're talking about the best albums of this year, production wise. Like
oh,
talking about albums that came out that surprised us, that were like more than we thought. You know, do you have anything like that for you?
Oh, some more than what are some of the suggestions that we've heard so far?
The so we actually Mighty Healthy and me both said Blue Lips right off the bat.
Oh,
Cause and I had said like to my son, like this is one of the it's the first great album of the year. Like it was the first album that was like, wow, holy shit.
Yeah, because I feel like the album before that was a little bit of a disappointment
Yeah,
because
we
the
talked about
Blank
Crash.
Face LP was such a like a solid, great album.
Yeah, I love Blank Face.
And so we were kind of hoping for a buildup of that, but the album before that was kind of a disappointment, and I think Blue Lips was kind of like a reset.
Yep. And I had to
Uh,
get my LL Cool J Force love in.
ooh, yeah,
Yeah, with Q-Tip. I played you that on the ride to the concert.
yeah.
Yeah, that was dope. So yeah. So that's where what was there anything like that that you can think of?
You know, for me, sonically, and I know this is gonna sound cliche, but the GNX is sonically, and I'm not like aside from the lyrics, like sonically, there's some really great things happening production wise on that album.
It's that GNX has been such a strange experience for me.
Mm.
It's like it would be like you have a party over at your house and everyone's talking about how cool your mom is. And you're like, what? Like it people are like,
Your
man,
mom may be cool though. That's the thing,
man,
you know.
you
Like,
heard DJ Mustard? Yeah, yeah. I have heard My Crazy Life. I've heard like, yes, I know what DJ Mustard is. What you like the whole world is discovering DJ Mustard in
I'm
unison.
super confused by that. Like,
Mustard.
what are you talking about? He was a massive producer like 15 years ago, like or 10 years ago, whatever it's been. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking crazy. But yes, my feel K is that GNX is like a high end mixtape.
yeah, yep.
It's fun as
Yeah.
shit. I really enjoyed listening to it. But it's not gonna be high on my end of year or whatever. Um,
It's fun, yeah. It's one. There are just some songs like it just like it makes me feel like it sonically it makes me feel like you can feel there's like different. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean like I can feel the production.
yeah, man. No, it makes sense. That's Mustard's thing.
Yeah,
Mustard can get in your face with the
yeah.
production, and it's not even necessarily fancy, right? It's just uh, what it like. What is the cooking show, the cooking reality show that everybody goes on? Top Chef. I remember there was one season where this dude was like, my meal is like chicken and potatoes, and all the other chefs are like, fuck off. You're not gonna beat me with chicken and potatoes, dude. And he did. He beat him with chicken and potatoes, and they were so pissed. Like that's kind of what Mustard does a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
I
he's
I have a I have a take on Gen X.
Mm.
Hit me.
I I feel like that album was completely made out of spite.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
It was it like I feel like with like I feel like every song was just like another smack to Drake because you have Kendrick doing like these mustard beats and like purposely going like look when I feel like it, I can sound like California, even though I don't even like doing these kind of songs. Like you listen to the hooks, like you listen to this type of stuff. It kind of reminds me of just like when Eminem was doing like FAC and shit, like just like these really like, or like you could tell like in the song, like I'm making fun of the fact that I'm making these songs, and it's
Mm.
just I feel like it's like a smack that good because like look, whenever I want to, I can sound like my culture because I am from here. You cannot do that. I
Right.
can do that,
Right.
you know. And so I feel like this is completely put together, just like,
Yeah.
haha, I can see myself and you can't. Like, it's just like,
Right. You don't have a sense of self, and I do.
exactly.
Yeah. That's funny. No, I like that as a take on that.
how do you guys feel about him sounding quite a bit like Draco the Ruler and him never really mentioning him?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Because he hasn't really worked with DJ Mustard a lot before. So when he did, it definitely felt like that Draco the Ruler lane was how he chose to align with that production.
Yeah.
It's almost like Jay and Young Chris or something, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride this.
I get how that the mustard beats would bring out
Yeah,
more of that for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, I do think he needs to scale down the voices a bit.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty deep in the voices.
Yeah, we're getting like post jail shine where like he just forgot how he sounded like.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah. There might need to be an intervention. It gets addictive. The voices get addictive, you know?
Yeah.
And you lose the base. You lose the home base.
No.
But no, but the other one, the one that really surprised, that really shook me a little bit, I did not like that Tyler the Creator album when it came out.
Chromacopia.
I did not like Chromacopia when it came out. And I adore it now. It's one of my favorites of the year.
Mm.
The, the second listen blew me away. Um, I just was not, I didn't really understand it the first time around. And I was like, okay, I don't know. The second time I was like, oh shit. I kind of let go of the, do I like Tyler as a rapper? I kind of let go of all that shit and was like, look, Tyler's a composer.
Mm.
Just fucking put it on and enjoy this composition. It's fucking crazy. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like I appreciate him more as an artist than just as a rapper. Like, like yeah,
he's
definitely great producer.
And I feel like he's another one, like, when we were talking about like Ka earlier, like he's another one of those where like, okay, I'm going to fuck off and go do my thing over here, and I'm going to produce however I want to sound. Like, you know what inspires me, you know my influences, but like this is definitely me, and I'm pulling together people that I like, that I want, that would make sense for me, and I don't care if you like it or not.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. But and he doesn't care. He just doesn't care and does what he wants. And I think that's always going to be a good ticket when you get, yeah, because he built his fan base organically. You know what I mean? When
100%.
when Odd Future came out, they were not beloved instantaneous. Um, it took work. So yeah, it's this album's really dope. And whenever like people are like GNX's album of the year, I'm like, how? When Chromacopia is here? Like I don't understand. These came out pretty soon together. Like if you love if you love challenging music, GNX is not very challenging really at all.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
he was just having fun.
He was definitely having fun, and he should.
Yeah, I don't think this was meant. I like what you said about mixtape,
Yep,
because I think this was a mixtape.
absolutely, absolutely.
And then I was looking at my list. I have another one that I thought production wise really surprised me. Uh I thought that Samurai from Lupe.
You like Samurai's
I
production?
did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he does. Who's Lupe's producer that everybody wants him to replace? What is his name? Um,
Was the soundtrack?
Soundtrack. That's right. Soundtrack with
Yeah,
two K's instead of the CK.
yeah.
And people are always trying to get Lupe to do kind of the fantasy collaborations with other producers, and he's always like, "Soundtrack's awesome. Y'all got to respect Soundtrack more." So that's always the thing around Lupe, but I loved Samurai. I thought it was a great album.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was also Gibbs project that was done really well.
Oh, you only live once. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another, that was an example of a project where it's like you looked at the production list, you're like, who? And
Right.
then it kind of didn't matter because of just how well the album flowed.
Yeah, I mean that's my whole thing is like if I have Tyler give a spot for best MCs all time because part of an MC's job is to coordinate the album.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best at coordinating the album, right? Like, so that's a lot of the credit, but I think that is definitely Gibbs gets a lot of credit there too, right? The worst Gibbs album is still highly listenable, you know,
Yeah.
and good, great beat picker. So yeah, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. That's I feel like there's a lot of one producer, one MC album collaborations, and it's awesome. But it's also a way for the MC sometimes to duck that coordination job and allow the producer to do the sequencing, to do the theme exploration and all that. Um, am I making
Right.
that up, or does that make sense?
No, that's factual.
Yeah, it definitely I mean, yeah, that's why people seek me out, but it usually it also depends on the producer, like if they're that kind of person also,
Mm-hmm.
because you have certain producers where they're just like, look, I'm gonna send you a pack, you do your thing, I'm just gonna be over here. Whereas you have other producers that are way more involved in like what you're trying to accomplish. Or you have the producers who are already like, look, here's everything, and you're gonna fill in these gaps.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. There's there's definitely gaps to be filled. Uh, Kay, what else do you think about this year in production? Was there trends that surprised you? Were there sounds that surprised you?
Um, I mean, I think we're getting back to. I mean, I think the West Coast in the second half, the West Coast sound took over. And I think moving forward, I think we're going to be getting. How do I want to say? I think there's a difference between like a simple beat and like an elegant beat.
Yep.
Like I
Yep.
think Mustard makes elegant beats. Like they seem simple, but there's actually a lot going on in them
Right.
that makes them bounce like sonically. And I think we're going to start moving towards that. You're seeing a lot of that right now, and I think moving forward, like in the 2025, we're going to start seeing a lot of that kind of simple yet elegant production. That's like fun.
And I think there's like levels of that kind of West Coast beat, right?
Yep.
Mustard gives you the Rolls Royce of that essentialist West Coast beat.
Mhm.
But what Mozzie's picking is like the discount store version of
Mm.
that, you know? Uh, I love Mozzie. I'm a big fan, always have been, but I think it's just a matter of like running yourself down with the production and not taking chances, you
Right.
know? Uh, and I think there's a few people like that. So we were talking earlier, Kay, about um, the collaborations, the cross collaborations with different people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, changing your flavor by doing getting a new flavor. I guess my question is, how far up can that go? Like, could we get a Megan the Stallion Alchemist album? Like, could that happen at some point? Like, what would that be like? Because the
Well,
people at the top have to surprise their audiences too.
Right.
well, I think the people at the top are products. So you ever get like Louis Vuitton like collaborates with some rapper
Yep.
that I could see those types of potential collaborations. But like I think the people at the top, like the real money makers, they have a brand that they have to keep consistent in order to sell their product. So do I think you'll see like I don't think you'll really see those types of collaborations. Maybe they'll have like one-off things just to keep things and like interesting and I guess credible within the culture, but I don't see that becoming like a mainstream type of thing.
What do you think, Televangel? How risky do you think the people at the top are willing to go?
Um, yeah, I agree with Kay pretty much. Like they're sort of commodities, and they're kind of captured by their corporate handlers or whatever, you know. So I don't. It would be cool though. I think a Megan Thee Stallion Alchemist album could be cool. It could be really cool. Um, but yeah, does she have that type of fan base that's gonna like I don't know.
I feel like someone like her, the fan base is just gonna eat up whatever she does.
Okay.
Right. And we got little sneaks of that. You remember when Lizzo grabbed that sudden death Kelly Chris beat and like put it on her album and they got Grammy nominated and like there's been little inklings of that of like, what if I switch this up? Like
I hope yeah, I
And
hope it happens. I think
yeah.
that'd be cool.
yeah, and I feel like the ones that are kind of because like for example, somebody like Kendrick, for example, like
Yeah.
I I can see a Kendrick album with Evidence beats on there. Like to me, like
Mm.
Kendrick is someone who has his ear like that, and Evidence is someone who has those kind of connections.
Right?
Somebody like Kendrick, they're always gonna do that.
Mhm.
But the ones that are kind of more beholden to like the corporate side, um, I feel like we will get to a point where like they have to do that in order to stay, you know, in order to keep eyes on them because as time goes on, it's like I feel there will be more of a return to, regionality and for more expression at least at that level. So I feel like they're gonna have to at a point.
I can see it not happening until they get dropped from their major though, because like
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Yeah,
there's
that's a
like majors really only focus on their top money makers, and there's so many people that just suffer and just are just shelved pretty much.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep. I mean, we did at one point in the year have Kendrick rapping on an Alchemist beat that the whole world was listening to at once, right? I mean,
right.
that's pretty wild. Um, so that's I don't know. The differences, the distances between the top and the rest don't seem as firm, right? And that's because I think the
Hmm.
corporate popular artists are just not as secure
Yeah.
because streaming is such a wonky business.
yeah,
You can go like remember Little Uzi Vert was running the world,
Yeah.
billions and billions of streams, and you know, like it's just it's easy to crash because you don't have the vinyl to back up, you don't have the merch to back up, you don't have the things an independent artist has. You
yeah.
really
It's
don't
kind of
have.
a house of cards for a lot of these people's careers. Like yeah, because I mean, you get tapped into people that are only used to consuming uh music that's fed to them by radios and major labels. Those are just not the people who are gonna buy vinyl and your merch and like
Yeah.
yeah. I
But
actually have to take off.
yeah, Television has to
Yeah.
go buy montage music, Nacho Picasso, Milk, by Lord Olo.
Yeah.
I want to tell you before you go, OG Nick Marsh and me co-wrote a Demon Quest review.
Oh wow. He's
It's
gonna
like
be excited. I'm excited to
it's
hear see
structured
that.
like a conversation, right? I
Cool.
do this paragraph, pass to him. He does a paragraph. We talk about the album.
When's that coming out?
It's a good question. We figure out where we're going to put it, but it was so easy to write. It was so fun to write.
Tell
OG
him
was
he's gonna be
great.
excited to hear that for
Yeah,
sure.
he's awesome. So it's. I wanted to talk about Demon Quest in some way, and that was the way. It was like let's talk about an album. And
Yeah.
I would just like, I sent him my first paragraph. He immediately kicked me in. We just, by the end of the night, we had like 800 words.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
it was cool. So,
Great. Cool,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. Look forward to reading it.
Absolutely. Do you have any recommendations for the people to listen to?
Let's see. Recommendations. Should have thought of that first.
It's all good.
I'm looking at my I'm just gonna plug my friends.
Do it. Do it.
Just go keep checking out like Old Grape God.
Yeah, man.
So prolifics, endlessly entertaining,
Yep. Yep.
all around good artist and guy. I like the new Milk album a lot with Chuck Strangers. It's a
Bad
really,
tofu? Is it
yeah,
bad?
it's a really just smooth and like I don't want to say easy listen that undersells it, but it's just like it's just good all the way through, like just
Yeah, it is.
very solid.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I got for you.
Chuck Strangers, man. Chuck Strangers is like organic food that tastes good, but is good for you. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's a good feel. I like it.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, thank you for being here. I
yeah.
appreciate
Thanks for having me.
it. Yep. I'll let you
Take
run
care,
out.
everyone.
Yep.
Next time.
Good deal. So yeah, now we're at the point where you get to talk shit about people mighty healthy. Who
Oh yeah, that Televangel guy, Yeah, just kick us back in.
what what is there anything that was happening in 2024 production that pissed you off that you were like, I'm tired of this, please stop this?
Oh. Oh, see, that's mean because as a producer, like it's very hard for me to kick other people's backs in. But what I am glad about, because it was pissing me off, um, I'm glad that we're starting to slow down a bit in terms of just raw output. Because
Ooh, okay.
Mm.
yeah, like that's something that was pissing me off because it's just like as a producer, I can tell when other producers are phoning it in
Yeah.
and just need to crank out a quick 8 to 10 just to sell some vinyl. Like I'm glad that that's stopping a little bit. Like vinyl distributors are slowing down, everything's slowing down. Again, it's like we got pretty crazy during COVID, and now that people just aren't inside as much, like that's starting to change a bit. So I would say from a production standpoint, just like people are starting to take their time again a little bit.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Be a little more selective. I wrote about this in the breakdown of just like, hey, the Cavalier model
Mhm.
of, you know what? I hit you with different type time early in the year, April. I hit you with Sin with Child Actor at the end of the year, right? November, late November. And in the middle, I was killing features, all
Right.
kinds of dope shit. Sour Dub with Rich Jones, yada yada, all that shit. And so Cavalier's been in the conversation all year, but he didn't have to release 9 albums to do it.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do like I don't know, like I'm not super big on him. Like I'm sure he has like the kind of production reach that a lot of other people do. It's like he didn't have to do like the flavor of the month producer from the past whatever months or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna drop this part of the year, this part of the year. They're both farther apart enough. The projects are both different enough to where it's like, oh yeah, that guy was really prolific that year.
And
Yeah.
Woods has done similar things, right? Like
Yeah.
Woods has done hiding places early in the year, terror management at the late end of the year, um, kind of deal to keep that going, keep the momentum going. Uh, but if you are like Woods or like Cavalier, you don't want to release too much because people will just miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're really on the pendulum. I think we're starting to see, like, for your album to really hit, we don't really have like those event type of albums anymore,
Right.
where people are like, like back in the day when I think of it, like they would announce their album a couple months beforehand, and then have a promotional campaign. And so when their album dropped, that was like an event.
Yeah.
And I think now, we're in the era where, like, if you want your album to be noticed, it's going to have to be an event.
Yeah.
Because people are so desensitized to, like you said, artists releasing 3 or 4 projects, even if some of the projects are like 4 or 5, I'm sorry, like 9 or 10 songs. They're so used to like being overwhelmed by their artists that it's going to have to slow down, and we're going to have to start valuing albums as events again.
And that's why I think Force stands out in my mind. Rich Ass Haitian stands out in my mind. Those albums were like events, you know? It was like,
Right.
holy shit, there's new Homie. Like, and everybody was picking it apart and like chewing on it, and that was fun, right? Like that was fun. But if you're releasing like, here's another one. You don't give people time to do the conversation.
Yeah, it's a diminishing returns formula. Um, Especially it's like you got to a point where a lot of artists are just rotating the same like 6 or 7 producers, and they're the types where you already know what they're gonna sound like.
Yeah.
And like after like that's just not fun. Like now it just feels like AI at this point. Like it just wrote a prompt and now we know what to expect. I never got into that. I'd rather take my time. That's why I don't drop as often, but
Yep.
when it happens, it's like I took my time. It's great. This was intentional. Like I couldn't get with that formula. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. And I think artists and a lot of art rappers and producers are like, this was the year where they kind of realized that a little bit.
It almost feels akin to that whole Netflix model versus the HBO model back in the day. Netflix would drop the whole season. Boom. It's out. Binge it. And then HBO would be like, dropping it once a week. And the HBO shows would go up because the Netflix show drops, they write about it once. Right? The
Yeah.
people who write about TV shows, here's what it was like. The HBO shows, they're writing about it every week for
Right.
13 weeks. They're
And you
publicizing it. It's gaining steam. It makes the second season the more hype. You know what I mean? Like because you're giving it time to roll down the hill.
yeah, you're building up anticipation. I think nowadays
Yep.
people don't have a lot to look forward to. And I don't mean that in like a dark type of way, but there's not, in terms of art and music and whatnot, there's not a lot of things that are looked forward to. You know what I mean?
I think it's the point we're kind of getting towards is what we'd like to see people do better in 2025 is the rollout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The rollout. Roll out the singles, roll out the visuals, roll whatever you got out in a creative way to really get people ready for how good your album is.
Build up the anticipation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just build the anticipation. Don't just rely on the fact that like, oh, I got fucking DJ Winkadink to produce this album, so I'm just gonna totally bank on the fact that this particular name is on this project.
Right.
And it's like the 12th album they dropped already that year is like, what is there to be excited about?
Right.
Right.
You know? Um, yeah, I'm so glad that's kind of out the door.
Yeah. And by the way, I respect the hell out of producers who work with prolific rappers and get the best out of them.
Yes.
Mhm.
So the shout out to V Don,
Mhm.
also mentioned in that Alchemist article where he shouted out child actor. Um, like V Don is someone who works with Billy the Kid, you know, Dark Low, works with Knack on Brap, and Knack, and Kid, Willie the Kid, prolific artists. Their best work is with V Don.
Hmm.
And that means something. You know what I mean? I see that. It's the V Don effect. So I have a lot of respect for people who can slow down prolific artists like that and be like, let's do something special.
Right.
Mhm.
Like this isn't the album that we're just gonna get the vinyl check for. Like we're gonna sit down and make something that matters, that you feel something, and like we're gonna push it. Like we're not just gonna drop it on a Friday with 65 other albums and just never talk about it again. Because there's a lot of that too, right? It's like, yo, I'm gonna drop on Friday. I'll just repost like my 12 friends that like retweeted the album, and then just maybe a little bit on Monday, I'll post like the album again, and then I'm off to the next thing. It's like,
Right.
dog, like
You know, I shared a meme on I read there was a meme that said one music day in 2024 and on one music day in 2024 there's released all of the music that was released in like 1980 or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So it's just there's just so much out there now. It's overwhelming.
And that is a natural part of making the technology easier,
Yeah.
yeah,
right? Like hip hop took over the world. And because of that, companies said, let's make it easier to make hip hop then.
Yeah.
Right? Like, fuck it. So it got easier that we got everybody's album.
Well,
Everybody's album.
right.
I mean, I think like the machine's broken. Like the structure that used to be in the hip hop music industry in the '90s, early 2000s, that's gone.
Right.
So now that it's like a free for all now, which is good and bad in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say though that because everything is easier, there's way more stuff, there's way more saturated. But because of that, there was a lot of homogenization. And I would say, as a producer, it is a golden opportunity to truly explore and sound like yourself. Like it's never been more important than now.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great point. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it makes sense. There's been a lot of great music. I would say I think my favorite producer this year has been Leon Michaels,
Yeah,
Hmm.
Michaels. Yeah, Michaels.
um, of Big Crown Records. Um, I think he produced that Claro album. I think he's also produced that Zero Grace album with Liam Bailey that we talked to Liam Bailey about. Uh, you know, the Heart Tones, P-Rack, like Leon Michaels has done amazing work in that unk shit uh, category, strata, that the kids are terrified of. But Leon Michaels is amazing, and I just think quietly has been my production MVP. Everything Leon Michaels touched was just so much better for him.
Mm.
Um, like we talked to the Heart Tones. It was like their debut album. He produced it, right?
Mhm.
And this is the guy who produced for Black Thought last year. You know what I mean? He's like doing this, soul group from California's debut, and they were talking about how like he got them to do shit they never did. in ways they never did, and they grew so much and they learned so much, and that's what I want. That's perfect.
100%.
Mhm.
Like it's so like if you're not growing after a project, like what was the point? It's just like I don't know. It's definitely how I feel. Locking in with artists and working on stuff that's like at my pace. It's like if we're not growing from this, if this is just like I never want to make a project that just checks boxes,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
then like that's easy. Like I could just but just having that intentionality is that's how you make things that people talk about at the end of the year.
Right. I mean, there's a point where the producers that I love aren't just providers of great sound, they're instigators.
Yes.
Televangel is an example,
Mhm.
right? One of my favorite albums last year, The Fish That Saved Portland, right? With Milk. He's the one who came to Milk and said, you should do hooks. Milk usually just raps, kills it, moves on. You should do hooks. It made the album 1,000 times better,
Mhm.
right? Milk was out of his comfort zone a little bit, but still very talented, ready to go. Um, and they pushed each other, man. Like, I think that's, yeah, you have to be an instigator a little bit. So I think that's an additional characteristic that maybe we don't talk about enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say like that trait it is what lent to like that was part of like the whole super producer like era back in the day.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
know, I remember like 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 Nori would always talk about how Pharrell used to be like, look, the first person that actually listens to me is gonna get a number one hit. Like so, like I'm the like I'm going to like I know you like to count bars, think what I'm gonna keep it there. Like that was his idea,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know. Um, it's just stuff like that, being able to challenge people. Like the people that I've done albums with, it was out of their comfort zone. Like it would not have been something that they would have put together like just on their own. Like as a producer, you have to be the one because otherwise they could just get emailed beats from everywhere. Like
Yeah.
so how does so it's like as a producer, you have to be the one to make that special.
And obviously, it was easy for the Heart Tones to experiment because they knew they were with a genius level producer,
Yeah.
with Al Michaels Affair, who's done all this incredible work. So they knew, hey, let me just trust this person. Like it'll work out on the back end, right?
Right.
Um, and when you feel like you have that safety net, you're a lot more daring. You're a lot more daring. So it's not like you're instigating people to do reckless things. They know they have the safety net. I'm going to
Yeah.
catch this. I'm going to fix it. Don't worry about that. But let's try this weird thing, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a good characteristic people don't talk about enough. But yeah. And there were a lot more albums we talked to people about, Kay, where they made it together in person.
Right.
There were a lot more. I feel like some of these trends we talked about, like the over prolific albums, right? The mailing the beats. Some of that stuff is scaling back.
Yeah.
Because I think we often think of the end product, but I think for artists, it's also the process of making the album that is what they get their, I guess, their reward comes from.
Right.
Like I think of Psalm One and
Yeah. Optics. Yep.
an Optic, yeah, a couple of, like, you could tell like their friendship grew because of this album, and they each grew as people because of this album. And this album that they created is, connected to like a significant portion of the last couple of years of their life.
Right.
And that's what the artists get when you work in the same room with a producer, and you're not just mailing beats. That's the type of interaction that you get with another person that really is rewarding and enriching to you.
Yeah. No, I think that's a real thing. I think people are starting to see that. It reminds me of the vinyl boom, right? When vinyl started to come back, it
Mm-hmm.
was almost like the consumer saying, "No, I want to be connected to the music again.
Yeah.
I want to invest in the music again. I'm tired of nickel and diming my favorite songs."
Mm-hmm.
And this almost felt like like their version of that. I'd be like, I know I can mail this beat back and forth and get it done. I'd rather
Well,
be with this person.
I mean, like at the end of the day, the artists, I think they have to ask themselves, like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Right.
And then from that, once you answer that question, then you can branch out and start, lining up your actions with what you value, what you
Yeah.
truly value in your craft.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Good times. I'm with it. Yeah. I appreciate it. I mean, anything else you'd like to cover, Kay? Or
No, no.
no? Okay. Well, anything else, Mighty Healthy, you want to squeeze in? Tell people what for?
Um, yeah, so next year
Before
will
before
be
we go to recommendation corner as well.
yeah,
Yeah. Any conclusion on that? Sorry.
conclusions.
Yeah.
Um, yes, producers, be yourselves. It's okay. You can do that again. Take your time, make things that matter,
Mhm.
and learn how to fucking program a bass line. Like we're not doing baseless shit anymore.
That's fair.
Uh,
That's fair.
enough.
I
I
love it.
like that.
Smoke. So recommendation corner, we're talking about stuff we've been listening to. Shout out to Hearing Things. .co, Dylan Green, and them's outfit. They had a year-end kind of list. Uh, and man, the This Is How I Remember It by Becca Amani. That is that is some good unk shit. Dropped 11/29. That is it's beautiful, beautiful soul stuff. So I appreciate that. And there will be, by the time anybody sees this, there will be a Patreon exclusive breakdown of Andrew and Jesse the Tree Swan Dive album, which is real dope. Um, and it's kind of like Andrew's one of those people that releases a lot of music, but it's
Yeah.
because he can't stop. Like he's
Yeah.
he's addicted to that shit. So this is an album that in a better world would have had a big rollout, but he's just prolific like that. Uh, Teller Banks let loose 9 songs with Loose Leaves, and the guest on the first song sparked a fun thing. We were in the urgent care getting my son taken care of. We were waiting for a chest X-ray for him, and I was like, "I'm gonna play a game with everybody. Like, rate these rap names on the hospital pain scale." And so I started with Ponderosa Mo, which my wife liked a lot. Um, so it was great, and we went all over the place. And my son's favorite name was Duke Deuce,
Yeah.
Dude.
which is fair. The faster you say Duke Deuce, the more fun it is. That's what's cool about that name. So, um, feel free to play the hospital pain scale name game for rappers, whatever you're Have some downtime. The other one, the third one would be the Godfather Don Thesis album, which is just really fucking cool. Uh, boom bap, East Coast shit. Really good stuff, man. I've been rocking with that stuff. What Mighty Healthy? What have you been listening to?
So I'm gonna cheat and and do the home team here. Uh, Shoddy, Money, Mowgli, and Marlon Records, the MI Aliens album. It's incredible. Um, yeah, it's all about good production, attention to detail. Like Marlon he's another one of those people. Um, and you could tell that was another in-person interaction. Like they're all from here.
Yep, yep.
It was done there, videos there, and like another thing that they're doing right is like they're still pushing the album. Like they're still talking about it. It's still going around organically. And like I feel like that was I have nothing to do with this album. I'm just pushing because I like it. Yeah, like that I would say that's the main thing right now.
Yo, I will say one of our patrons, uh, who has also been on the show, Fick, lives in
Mm.
Florida, went to the
Yeah.
Crime Apple show,
Yeah, last week, right? Yeah.
yeah, and met Shoddy and had the picture with Shoddy. And I was like, oh shit, it's cool. So yeah, Shoddy's awesome. Money Mowgli's awesome. Money Mowgli has a new album after the MI Aliens album.
Yeah, but he's another one of those people that just like you mentioned, like he literally cannot stop.
Can't
Like
stop. He's like
like
Kofi. He's like Kofi. A Journey into the Dark is what that one's called, and it's
yeah,
so good. It's so good. Yeah, Money Mowgli's really good. Uh,
yeah.
has a wild, wild crew of people.
Oh yeah. And like I would say as far as stuff coming out later, it's gonna be a lot more busy next year, a lot more Lupara stuff. So we have Lupara Shadi
Woo!
at the start of the year. We're working on Lupara Money Mowgli.
Yep.
Uh
Yep.
I have I did all the beats for the Shadi album, so I think we'll probably get to that next year also. Um, and yeah, just a lot of other sitting and waiting. That's another part of being a producer. You're just fucking just
Yep.
waiting for shit.
Great year for Shoddy, Alligator Alley, just all that shit.
Yeah,
Man. Great stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're connected up with the right people in that. What?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Kay, what are you rocking with? What is yeah?
Uh, Nothing new this week.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm just looking for. I hope we have how many more? We have about 3 more weeks left in this. We got 3 more Fridays left in the year. So I'm hoping we have one or two projects that really resonate.
Oof.
Yeah, maybe we'll get the Meg Thee Stallion and Alchemist album.
Maybe
Yeah.
that'll drop. Maybe that'll drop. Man.
Go see it.
Putting it out in the air. I think she'd kill that shit. Everybody always was like, I want a Sauce Waka Alchemist album, but I think Meg would be more.
Hey, I mean, I saw Alchemist was working with Erica Badu, so
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, degrees of separation.
I'll take it.
yeah.
I'll take it. So it's good. Yeah. What did in terms of TV shows, Kay.
Yeah.
Let me I don't step on you. What is your recommendation? Did you say your recommendations? What was your recommendation? Did I miss it? Are you there? Am I frozen? What's happening?
No, I think he may be on mute.
Oh wait, it's for me?
Yeah.
My recommendation?
No, I was
Yeah.
talking about Keith. Kay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh no, I didn't
I
have
thought
any
my computer
new.
was glitching. I was like, what the hell's going on?
No new music recommendations this week.
Okay, that's fair. So in terms of TV shows, I there's a TV show called Interior Chinatown on Hulu,
Okay.
and it stars Jimmy O Yang and Ronnie Chung from The Daily Show.
Oh, I heard about that.
and I was all in, just like, oh shit, Ronnie Chang and Jimmy O Yang let's do this. Those are very creative cats, and this show is wild, wild. I love it. It's the first episode is a lot. There's a lot going on, but it's great. It's good. It's funny. Makes its points. Very surreal and shit. It's wild. I really enjoy that show.
Okay.
What are you any TV shows you rocking with? Any outside of the music recommendations?
I did see the movie I saw. It's an animated movie. I think it's Europe. I'm pretty sure it's European. It's called Flow. Uh, it's fascinating. It's like about. It's hard to explain. It's about like this cat in a post-apocalyptic world. So I mean, I really enjoyed that. But that would be my only recommendation this week.
Kay's a citizen of the world, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Flow, FLOW.
FLOW. Anything mighty healthy you watching or you're doing?
Yeah, I'm not a big TV guy, but I do have obligations. I do have to catch up on Dragon Ball Daima. You know,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball's like shit. I just have to get through it, you know.
Yep.
Wait, so there's a new Dragon Ball?
Yeah, it's Dragon Ball Daima. It's the last thing Akira Toriyama did before he passed. And it's a pretty good story, but you know, the premise is it's like Goku becomes a kid again through a wish or whatever, and like they gotta go and shenanigans ensue. But it's a lot of good. I would say in terms of what he was trying to accomplish, you could tell Akira Toriyama really, really missed writing like Dragon Ball. And like tell that because the thing is like Dragon Ball Z was, you know, it was great, it was his thing, but his real thing is Dragon Ball. Like he loved the gags, he loved the jokes, he loved, you know, obviously there's action in there, but it's like he liked the shenanigans, and there's plenty of that. It's pretty good.
Okay.
That's awesome. Good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for kicking it with us and talking the talk. I'm glad we got to sit with Televangel and rock that. It was good.
Oh,
Yeah, and obviously when you explode out the gate next year, let us know.
Absolutely.
of course.
And keep Micah focused as well.
Oh yeah. You know, we was having a. I don't think you want me to mention this, but he was having a conversation the other day. He was like, because he was thinking about changing his name. Yeah, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like we still call Yasin Bey Mos Def. Like this is like you're gonna keep
Right. It's not. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're right. I just need to drop.
It's
But the thing is, he has plenty of music that needs to drop. But you know, it's just like sometimes time happens, sometimes life happens.
Yep.
Maybe you're not in the same space, but he got plenty of stuff dropping.
crazy. Yeah, keep us praise. It's awesome. King, King Mighty, King Healthy, you know, mighty King. I will talk to you later on. Thank you very much, man, for everything. And
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, enjoy the NBA Cup.
What?